of some sort. It'd be difficult for me to sideboard because I really didn't see anything. I don't know what he's running. I don't know. I mean, I know that he's got some blue control-y stuff. I know that he's got a couple of green creatures that are mana ramp, which makes me think that he's got some bigger creatures, bigger green creatures running around.
Mm-hmm.
But since I never really got to see anything, it would be hard for me to effectively sideboard and effectively know what to put in there, apart from knowing just what typically goes in a green-blue deck. That's all. So.
Yep.
It is the beginning of a period in Earth's history called the Cretaceous, and the movement of the continent is not...
Alright, I guess I should just submit my deck here.
Yes, that'd be good. Which I know he helps. Alright. I would like to play first, absolutely. And we will keep that. That's good.
I'm pretty sure I'm keeping this thing.
Okay, excellent. So we're going to start with this. We're going to start with that.
Ooh, Elvis Mystic!
Huzzah!
I'm scared.
You should be. You're now seeing things for the first time.
That is a bold-faced lie. I saw that twice because you've got at least 2 of those in this deck.
Yes. Yes, I have 2 of those in this deck. Oh,
alright, your last first turn.
Seriously? Every hand we're gonna do this?
I'm running like 3 of them in a Butsies. Disperse and a Dissolve. Let's take the Dissolve. It's much more versatile.
I had a feeling.
Alright. Creating card advantage.
Okay, and so now we're going to swing with our Elvish Mystic. Oh, I see it.
Oh, it thinks that you're swinging for mana.
Yes. I need to move on to the actual combat phase, then swing with the Elvish Mystic.
Stupid computers.
At least the undo button worked this time, so that's always good.
Alright, okay. You can have it.
Take that.
I will allow it.
My Elvish Mystic will spell your doom.
I don't think it's spelling anybody's doom. But you can have 4 life.
I will take the 4 life. Though I don't appreciate you just wantonly killing my creatures.
Because you haven't spent many games wantonly killing mine.
No, I would never do such a thing.
Lies.
Yes. That is what you would classify as a lie. Absolutely.
Let's try.
Okay. It must be tempting. He's taking a while.
Fortune Hunter.
There we
Bum,
are.
bum, bum.
Alright. And of course, the reason I have the Triton Fortune Hunters in my deck is because anytime they're the target of a spell, from me,
That you control.
that I control, yes. So anytime I target them with a spell, I get to draw a card.
That goes on the top of the library.
Alrighty.
southern tip of America.
Yeah, okay. Fine. Alright.
Below him, a column of iguanas stretches along a beach.
All right, your turn, Chauncey.
Perfect.
Do your worst.
I shall.
Hundreds of mouths are searching for a fresh place to satisfy
There
their
you
instincts.
Ooh, a scroll thief.
You
Alright.
can't play around the atoms. Although these herbivores walk on 4 legs, iguanas can run on just 2.
The Whip of Erebos
Okay.
gives creatures lifelink and can bring creatures out of the graveyard for a turn. Briefly.
The Elixir of Immortality.
Right. Let's, okay, your turn. Do I attack? No, because here's the deal with this, okay? So if I attack with my 2/2, then he'll block with the Scroll Thief. I'll deal 2 points of damage to it, but it's got a toughness of 3. He'll deal 1 point of damage to my Banisher Priest, but my Banisher Priest has a toughness of 2, so nothing really happens. The only advantage to me doing that is that I've got Lifelink, which gives me 2 extra points.
Alrighty, so, that was the end of his turn. And, okay, we've got some cool stuff to work with here. Now, this Whip of Erebos is something I'm not a huge fan of.
Why don't you show it to our fans at home?
I am.
Oh.
Creatures you control have lifelink, so every creature he gets out on the field will have lifelink, which makes him somewhat harder to kill. And he has the ability to return creatures from his graveyard to the battlefield. Not just his hand or his deck, but it actually comes from the battlefield, and has haste, so it can attack right away, even though it would normally have summoning sickness.
Now, all that said, it does exile the creature at the end of the turn. Now.
It does, but it's still a pretty powerful card. Like,
now, if you
kill
if you don't know, go ahead.
Yeah, like, you kill a creature, you think it's dead, and then it comes back for one more turn just to screw with you.
There is a combination with the Obstat Ghost Council. Obstat Ghost Council is a creature that at the end of your turn you can choose to exile it, and then it returns to play at the beginning of your next upkeep. Okay, so what you can do is, if it's in the graveyard, you can use Whip of Erebos to bring it out. At your end step, you get to choose which effect happens first. So you can choose to have Obstat blink itself out, exile itself, and then Whip of Erebos checks to see if Obstat has been exiled. It has been, so Whip of Erebos is satisfied, and then because you use the effect on the Obstat to exile it, it comes back at the beginning of your next upkeep. When you have Whip of Erebos in play, it is impossible to keep Obstat Ghost Council in the graveyard.
Yeah, which it can make it pretty crazy. And so we're gonna do something about that right now.
Oh, he's got a disenchant. Oh, naturalized. Okay, sounds good.
So your Whip of Erebos just became a bush.
Or something.
Or something, yes. Perhaps a viney, prickly bush, but not terribly dangerous to anyone.
Hey, Chauncey, guess what?
What?
I run 2 of those.
I'm sure you do. How many naturalizers do you think I have in the deck?
Well, judging from the fact that I've not seen a whole lot of anything of your deck in either of these games, I'm guessing not a whole lot. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to do this turn. Yeah,
Just
not attacking.
Okay.
Now that he doesn't have lifelink, it's even less worthwhile.
Alright, so we're going to cast this guy.
Oh, another one of those.
Yes. And then I think we'll do this.
Discus. Okay. Fair enough.
And we'll attack with the Scroll Thief, so I can get a fresh card.
Facility 300 meters wide. To reach the other side, you will need all these gliding skills, slowing the air currents that form over waves. Along the way, you must shoot.
Oh, excellent. That is wonderful. Okay. Alright.
But flying low brings its dangers. Hungry monsters
Yep,
watch
so that's going to get rid of something.
Probably the exact same thing I got rid of before.
It could. It's possible. So obviously the disperse mechanic is not the best like permanent removal strategy, but it can get something out of your way for a turn.
What it is it's a tempo play. It forces me, especially if I'm at a point to where like I only have 3 men in play, it forces me to take an extra turn to put out the banisher priest, which puts me behind on doing whatever I had originally planned to do during that turn. And it can be quite disruptive. It can put your opponent behind rather effectively. In that case, he was trying to get his creature back. That's the whole reason he did that. But
Well, actually the reason I did that was to get the priest out of the way so I could use the Scroll Thief.
oh, gotcha, because you wanted to draw a card.
Right. So it actually
Gotcha.
set you back a little bit and actually pushed me ahead a little bit.
Okay, if that's what you want to think.
That was the intention anyway. Whether it worked or not, well, who knows. Alright, so we've got some fun options this time around. We're going to do this.
Oh,
Since we seem to be running just a little low.
in a complete reversal of the last game.
Yes. Alright. And so now we can toss that out. And then I think we'll do this.
Yay, he's gonna glimpse the future.
And isn't that just a wonderful thing?
Not really, no.
Yeah, we'll take that. And those will go away for now.
Okay.
Alright.
He was just complaining about not having any lands, and now he discards 2 of them.
Well, it's the nature of the card.
somewhere close by on the rest of the pack.
Now, the nice thing about that card is you not only get to pick one of the 3 top cards from your deck, but you also move yourself 3 cards deeper into your deck, so
Right.
a little bit closer to the stuff that you're trying to get to.
Right. And he's getting there faster than I am, which is, you know.
Oh, well, this is interesting. He's actually swinging with the Banisher Priest. I can honestly say I've never seen that happen before. Alright, well.
Raptors have the short legs of a sprinter and will not pursue their prey for long. This one saves their energy for later.
That's not what I expected you to do, but that's fair.
I know.
They start to move on.
That's okay. You'll kill the Mystic, but I got my Fortune Hunter back.
Actually, what I was hoping that he would do in this instance was block the Festering Newt, hoping to trade, and then I would deal the extra point of damage to the Scroll Thief, killing both. But that's not what he did, and that's okay. Okay, Spore Mound?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, for the record, for the audience, I'm really not a big fan of, like, mushrooms, food-wise. But in this case, the fungus is going to advance my cause, and so I'm going to use it.
Yeah, that's a card that can get out of hand.
Oh, yes. Especially when you're running a mana-heavy deck.
Yep.
The iguanodon sense the threat and starts to get nervous.
Now, if this was a modern deck, there are some things I could combine with that to kind of pump up the token creatures I'll be generating. But since it's a standard deck, I don't really have access to those cards, which is okay, because a massive army of token creatures is always good.
Yes, it is. Which is what makes the Elspeth card in Theros such a great card. She's a Planeswalker. Chauncey thinks that Planeswalkers are cheating. I have to disagree.
Not cheating per se, but as a person who's never actually had a Planeswalker, not once, it's super irritating to have a non-Planeswalker deck come up against a Planeswalker deck all the time. Alright.
I don't typically run a ton of Planeswalkers, but my standard deck runs 2 or 3 copies of Elspeth, depending on how I'm feeling that day.
Right, well, you know.
In the paper version, and her +1 ability puts 3 1/1 soldier tokens into the battlefield, so she does a very effective job of protecting herself. So. Oh, nice.
Thank you.
Yep.
And yeah, we'll well, actually, let's get that guy out.
Okay.
I about Ikaris has to leave these killing fields for a sacred place.
It's not enough to just say okay. There we go. And now we move on to combat. Ah, the Elixir of Immortality.
Yep.
So now he's shuffled all the stuff that I thought I had gotten rid of back into his deck. So it could potentially come up again.
Yep. That's exactly right.
And so distracted was I that I forgot to attack. Oh well.
Also an effective strategy.
Another thing that wouldn't happen in paper pencil magic, but oh well. And a Banisher Priest. You know, those never, ever, ever get old.
I don't think so. I enjoy them every time one gets into my hand.
I'm certain you do. And I had a feeling that was the card that was going.
Well, I can't let you be building a bunch of freaking, Sapphiring token army stuff going on here.
You could, but it's not an effective win strategy.
No, it's not. Since the object of this game is to, in fact, end the game faster than your opponent, which neither of us do a very good job of,
No.
incidentally.
No, not really at all.
Most ridiculous games of Magic ever played.
Alright.
Main phase!
Driven on, he eventually reaches the huge island of Cantabria, which will one day be the bedrock of Spain. He is exhausted by his 14,000-kilometer journey.
Aha.
Ahead lies the fate.
So, yeah.
Alright, why don't you explain what you just did there?
Well, right controls an instant that, first and foremost, prevents all damage that will be done to me for the rest of this turn. So it means I don't have to block anything, because none of them are going to do any damage to me. In addition to that, it causes me to gain a point of life for every creature that my opponent has on the table that my opponent controls. In this case, Chauncey has 5 creatures on the table, so where he intended me to lose 5 life, I instead gain 5 life. That's a pretty good trade-off for 3 mana.
Yeah, it's not bad.
And it buys me a turn.
It does.
Actually, probably buys me 2 turns, because it's a swing of 10 turns in this case. Now, interestingly, it only prevents damage that would be dealt to me. If I chose to block, those creatures would deal damage to my creatures.
Well, that is interesting. Alright, so Griffin Sentinel. Okay.
Yep. Nothing fancy.
Well, it's a pretty effective strategy against green stuff, just because green doesn't have a lot of anti-flying things. Typically, if you're wanting to do, like, if you know you're going to face a flying deck, you'll throw in, like, a lot of spider creatures, which will have reach, which allows them to block flying.
Or Shredding Winds, which destroys a flying creature.
Correct. But generally, you're not going to see a whole lot of flying trees or beasts in green.
No, in fact, green is the color, I believe, that gets no flying whatsoever. It deals with flying through.
Yes. Now, blue does help with that, and it's why it's a good mix, because you get that control element, and you can kind of shut down anything that they cast that you can't block, but... Alright, so let's see here. Main phase, we want to... Okay.
Pterosaurs continue to rule the skies for billions of years.
Just let that go for now.
The dinosaurs spread in every part of the earth. In the next episode, we will see how they even accomplish the most extraordinary environment of all. At the South Pole.
What happened?
It's just retarded. It's just a bad draw.
Okay. Like, how bad are we talking? Is it like you instantly
As
lose
in-
the game?
As in, and I'm going to give away information here, but I drew a swamp.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's just an absolutely useless draw.
Well, you know, those happen from time to time. Occasionally, those happen for like the first 10 to 12 turns in a game, and you end up with nothing but land on the table.
Alright, so because the Griffin has Vigilance, it does not tap when it attacks, so I will still have him available to block with on Chauncey's turn.
Alright. So there's that. So basically, I'm trying to bide some time until I can get cards that are useful out of my deck.
That's kind of what we're both doing. Like that. That is a useful card.
that is a useful card. And
Therefore,
him casting it gives me the opportunity to actually use some of the mana that's just sitting on the table.
dissolve, which I have no cards in hand, so it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it not only gets rid of that, but I also get to scry 1. And we're going to keep that on the top of the library. Alright. Yes, that's fine. Alright, and he's attacking with his Griffin again, which makes sense, because I've got nothing to block it with.
And it's vigilant. It could have been lifelinky, but no.
Yes, well, such is the
did,
nature
however,
of the game.
The nice thing about that is I did get him to burn a counter spell on something that is not super necessary to this deck's effectiveness. It's scary. He can't let it happen if he has any choice, but there are scarier things in this deck.
That's very true.
Banisher Priest. Triggering the Spore Mound.
And there we go.
And here comes the onslaught.
Yes. Well, we have quite the little army set up here at this point. So, suppose we'll just see what we can get through. Now, what he's probably going to do is chump block at least one of the Fortune Hunters with the Newt. And so the Newt's going to deal 1 damage to it, and then he'll use the Newt's dying ability to finish it off. And then I would say potentially he's going to block the other Fortune Hunter with the Griffin, and they'll just kind of bounce off each other.
That would be the stupidest thing in the world to do, Chauncey. I don't even know what you're talking about now. I am going to block your Frightened Hunter with the Festering Newt, and then with the Griffin, I'm going to block your Elvish Mystic and get rid of some of your mana.
Okay.
Killing a maximum number of your creatures for a minimum number of mine. They don't bounce unless I absolutely have to.
Alright.
I'm sitting at 25 life. I can afford to take an extra point.
No, that's fair.
This is why I'm a better Magic player than he is. I'm kidding. It's a joke. We are actually pretty evenly matched most of the time. In paper Magic, I'm better, but that's because I've thrown more money at the game than he has.
That's very true.
And by throwing more money at the game, I mean I really don't want to think about how much I've thrown at this game.
Well, you know.
Hey, everybody needs a hobby.
That's also
and
very
by
true.
By hobby, I mean money pet.
Yeah, no, I mean if you're wanting something fun to do with your friends, this is definitely a good thing to go with. I mean, if you have, X amount of dollars every week, you can buy like a battle pack with your friends and just do like a sealed thing and just have fun with it.
Which we'll be doing later, by the way, on video.
Yes, that is in the plans. Once we're a little more geographically near located, we'll be able to get together, do some live paper card matches.
You'll be able to see the face behind the voices. Chauncey, will you please okay my Banisher Priest so I can get your Spore Mound out of the way?
No.
Yes.
I'm not okay with your Banisher Priest. Just accept it.
But you have no counter for it, so...
I have 25 minutes. If that's not counter enough.
People who play slow, I swear, they drive me crazy. Now here we've got a reason to be playing slow, but...
Well, I mean, it's one thing if you're just learning the game because there's a lot to catch up on and mechanics to understand. You got to read the cards, but once you're kind of familiar with everything,
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt to speed up stuff. So
Look at me attacking with a Griffin Sentinel. And now I am finally ahead, 21 to 20.
Congratulations. You've finally reduced me to my starting life. After you gave me 4 of it. Which, of course, is the only reason I was ever ahead in the first place. Alright, so
Okay.
to get
That's
this moving
I should have
again.
saved it. I should have exiled something else is what I should have done, but oh well. Rome wasn't built in a day. Now, it should probably be noted that games of Magic don't normally take this long. Typically, you can play a game of Magic in about 10 minutes, and that's one of the things that's appealing about it.
Yes.
Wow, with the tempo plays here.
Yep. And you know what? We're going to put that on the bottom of the library. And we can swing with the team now that there's nothing in the way. Okay, there won't be any blocking happening. I get to draw a card.
And Chauncey thinks he's terribly clever. Yay for Chauncey.
We'll play a land, get another Saproling creature, and the turn will end, at which point Massey will cast the Banishing Priest and get rid of my Spore guy once more. And there it is.
And among the trees lurked the echo of unfamiliar sounds. The largest of all the summer migrants is coming to the park.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Oh, I guess I have to okay it.
Yeah.
It's retarded, incidentally.
And there it goes. Alright. A second Banishing Priest. Isn't that interesting? Now, I assume he's not going to be banishing any of the Saproling creatures, since they don't pose a whole lot of threat by themselves. If I had to guess, I'd say the Fortune Hunter? Yeah. And out comes the Griffin Sentinel. Alright, and so now he's completely tapped out.
But I have blockers.
But he does have blockers. Oh, and isn't that just the most wonderful card ever?
It probably is. It's probably going to upset me when you cast it. That is a pretty nifty card.
Now that is a fun little card from
Gatecrash.
the Gatecrash set. I am choosing a creature to cipher it on. Seriously, that one. Okay, there we go. Apparently you have to click the creature and then click OK. Alright, so there's all that. Now, I could swing with the team and get a single point of damage through, but I don't see much reason to do that, especially since casualties on my side would be rather high, and casualties on his side would be rather none. So, we're just going to sit that round out.
Enough to see off this end. Little dinosaur knows that we others.
The Sarah Angel. Very well.
Matamorasaurus continued to arrive on the
Now, if only I could find Healy, I'd be a happy camper.
Yes, well.
Since my devotion to white is through the roof.
Yes, it does seem to be. So we're going to go ahead and let that through. I'll drop
Because you
them.
have all the choice there.
I do. I have all the choice. I have open mana and I have cards in my hand.
But you have a bigger threat to deal with.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and cast that.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that's not terribly useful at the moment.
Especially since your devotion to green is 1.
Yes.
Devotion, by the way, to calculate your devotion to a given color, you look at the number of symbols of that color's mana on permanents that you control. So in my instance, these little suns that you see on these white cards are white mana symbols. So my devotion to white is 2, 3, 5, 7. Chauncey only has 1 green mana symbol and the casting cost of one of his green cards, and therefore his devotion to green is 1. That's how devotion works. So various cards will reference devotion to a given color in various ways.
Yeah, and devotion is typically pretty easy to build up in a mono deck, and it's not too terribly difficult to build up in a dual color deck. Once you start branching out from just the 2 colors, though, it becomes a bit more difficult.
At this stage, the handling are vulnerable and can easily become lost on the forest floor if it's stray. All the adults watch out for wanderers.
Alright, yeah, so basically I let that attack through, and he hit me for 5 damage, just kind of trying to lull him into a false sense of security. So, basically thinks
He's
that...
bluffing. If he could have taken down the Sarah Angel, he would have.
that is... I will neither
Entire
confirm
group,
nor deny that.
Right. Which is military speak for, yeah, you're right. That's military speak for, I can confirm that. I just can't say that I can confirm that.
I'm sorry, I'm not at liberty to talk about that subject. Alright, so we'll go ahead and pop that out here. And... yeah.
Is type of rare and cretaceous, but they survive here in the South Pole. Although there is enough meat of this kill for 20 allosaurs, it is unlikely the approach of a rival female will be tolerated.
Alright, well. That sucks.
He is driven away by the hungry male.
I'm not talking because I'm just going to let my cards speak for themselves right now, guys.
A fully grown polar allosaur eats about 100 kilos of meat.
Look, it's not even that big a deal. They only hit for 9.
Still,
Right. That's only like a 2-turn clock in this case. I've got lethal on board.
later, under the
Yeah,
weight
like, I'll be totally fine. No problem.
And now he's desperately trying to draw an answer.
That is not at all what I'm attempting to do. I'm attempting to draw an answer, but it is certainly not desperate.
No, it's pretty desperate when I've got an 8/8 Sarah Angel and you've got 5/5. This game is over next turn. Finally.
We'll see. Go ahead and
I
okay
will
the
have
card.
won the match.
Just approve the card, and we'll see where we end up here.
Oh, that's right. I got to approve the card.
The only
Oh, right. Now that's what we're talking about. Right there.
Bluffing again. Chauncey, we played too much poker together. Oh, a spore mound.
Yes.
You can have it.
Yes, I can.
You make all those non-flying saprolings.
I will. I will make all the Saprolings.
In fact, I want you to attack with some creatures so I can put some more in the graveyard. I will trade you Banisher Priest for more creatures in the graveyard. I'm okay with that. Another Acolyte, so now your devotion to green is 4. But again, not a flyer, not a reacher.
No. And since I really don't have a good answer for the giant flyers, we are going to go ahead and swing and just see what happens.
It has worked. The rivals retreat. For the moment, the classic territory is safe.
You know what? I think I know what's going to happen. I can attack with 4 creatures. He has 4 creatures open a block. All my creatures die, and then he just kills me.
When there is nature, herbivores can be very tolerant of each other.
Are you talking or are you doing this? I don't understand.
Yeah, so we're just gonna skip that. There's not much point to it.
Get scattered on the ground.
And we'll go ahead and concede the match, because that's clearly the end here.
Why didn't you concede before you ended? I don't understand.
I just wanted to finish the turn. Yeah.
So, I want to see your bluffy hand here. I want to see what you were bluffing but in hand. I figured it was something that ridiculous.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll reveal mine, which isn't much either.
Okay,
But,
yeah.
Again, a lot of times, Chauncey and I have some pretty evenly matched decks that we try to play for you guys. And a lot of times our games boil down to who can dig to their bomb first. In my case, it was the Sarah Angel, which would have been bomby enough on her own. But putting the Night Howler on there only made the game go by quicker, which
Yes.
is good for me. It's good for Chauncey. It's good for our audience. God bless you all. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. God bless.
Yep, and we'll talk at you later, guys.